What's good with you? It's your boy 2A and LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, bam! I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. Alright, fam, before we get this episode rolling, just a couple of disclaimers. I do not sell firearms, nor do I promote the sale of firearms or accessories or anything that would constitute a violation of YouTube community guidelines. Any reviews that I do on firearms or accessories are just that. They are for review purposes only. And if I reference the gun manufacturer or the company that happened to supply the product, I am just referencing that for disclosure purposes. All right? Now, fam, look. If you are not a member of the 2A in LA fam club, I do not know what you are doing at this point in time. As a member of the fan club, you receive unreleased content. You will receive content early. You become automatically eligible for all the giveaways that we do in our bi-weekly live streams, fam. Look. I believe I offer some of the best giveaway opportunities on YouTube. So make sure you're a member of the fam club. It's only $2.99 a month. Just click on that join button down below. And if you are interested in any of the 2A in LA merchandise, just hit that QR code in the corner. You see it. You see it right there. That will take you to the 2A in LA channel. Also, you can sign up to participate in a lot of our giveaways there. So make sure you hit that QR code. All right, that's it. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, fam, let's get this episode rolling. So we are here to review the Agency Arms NOC 2.0. This is a Glock-style 17 clone. Look, I'm just going to make a bold statement. I think that Agency Arms is arguably producing the best Glock clone guns out there. You know, I know there's a million of them and a lot of people do a good job. I don't know if anybody does it better than Agency Arms. This is about as kitted out as a Glock clone can get. You've got incredible stippling, undercut, texture along the trigger guard, texture along the frame with a ledge there. This gun is island barreled and comped. Agency Arms gets aesthetics and they get functionality. So kudos to them. Now, doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's perfect. I'm just saying they do Glock as well as anybody out there. Some may argue that Terran Tactical makes a very, very good Glock clone. I think he does. I would argue, though, all around shooting functionality or whatever, I think Agency might do it a little bit better. You can't lose either way. But I just think Agency really, really does Glock right. Now, before we get too far in the review, shout out to 2A Zone for providing the NOC 2.0 for review on the channel. So let's get into it. If you haven't seen a 2A NLA review, essentially your gun can score 0 to 100. I've never had a gun get a 0. Only had one gun in the history of the channel get 100. If you got something 50 to 60, that's a right down the middle gun. Think Glock 17 stock, right? If you've got something kind of 70 to 80, okay, that gun has a feature or two that distinguishes it from the mean. If you've got something kind of 70 to 80, oh, okay, now you're cooking with gas. Now you got now that gun has either one or two or several features that place it above. You got something kind of 80 to 90. Now you're talking about kind of best in class firearm. And if you got something 90 and above, that's grail gun status. All right, so look, fam, let's start off with fit and finish. So here's what I would say about the gun. I think it's very well done. I think the fit and finish on the gun is well done. I think the fitment is nice. I think the frame is well done and stippled. I think everything about this gun relative in the world of polymer striker fired guns, you're going to be hard pressed to find a gun that is better put together than the NOC 2.0. It's just, look, you know me, fam. I'm not the kind of person that's going to crap on a gun or whatever. First of all, it's hard to do because, as I've said many times, we're in the golden era of firearms. It's hard to find a bad gun. You got to work to find a bad gun. But there's levels to this, and I don't know if there is a better made polymer framed striker fire gun than the NOC 2.0, particularly given the island barrel, the comp, the features of the gun. The fit and finish is very well done, but this is not a 2011. It's a polymer framed firearm, right? And so fit and finish is only going to be so high. When I have run into other such guns, other Agency Arms gun, Terran tactical guns, typically you're going to get on a polymer striker fire gun, your fit and finish is probably, if it's impeccably done, going to be around 11 out of a possible 15. And that's what this gun is going to get for fit and finish. 11 out of a possible 15. All right, next up, reliability. Look, it's a Glock. Right? For all intents and purposes, it's a Glock. And so, yes, arguably one of the most reliable platforms on, if not the most reliable platform on planet Earth. Now, you start adding compensation and things like that to it. If the gun isn't tuned properly, it could affect the reliability. But after putting a ton of rounds to it, and a ton of different types of ammunition, you know how many malfunctions I had with this gun? That would be none. Zero, zilch. And I'm sometimes hesitant to give 15 out of 15s for brand new guns, but obviously Agency Arms has been manufacturing these guns for a while. I've shot a lot of Agency Arms firearms at this point in time, and obviously the Glock platform itself has been around forever, and so I'm fairly confident that reliability is not going to vary from firearm to firearm with Agency Arms. So for reliability, this gun gets a 15 out of a possible 15. Next up, durability. Look, I think it's a durable gun. Again, polymer frame, steel slide. I think the gun is very durable. I'm going to put all of the specs up there so you guys can check those out. I don't really nerd out on the specs so much. It's more about kind of the shootability for me than anything else, the shooting experience for me than anything else. But I think it's a durable gun. I think it should last quite a bit of time. I think, again, they did a magnificent job. The texture on this gun feels incredible. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into ergonomics. But I think the gun is durable. At the end of the day, it's still a polymer frame pistol with MEM parts. So it's not going to score like a, an all metal gun with machined internals would. But still, very well done. For durability, we're going to give the NOC 2.0 a 12 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, trigger. So I think the trigger is well done. You've got a little take up, clear defined wall, crisp clean break, the reset. I mean, for a striker fire trigger, I think it's well done. I think, there's a lot of striker fire triggers that are good out there. I consider this among the best of them out there. Again, this is not, if you're accustomed to shooting You know, a lot of times it's about perspective, right? If you're accustomed to shooting a bunch of high-end 2011s with sub 2-pound trigger pulls, then this trigger is not going to feel good to you. If you're used to shooting stock triggers and stock polymer frame striker fire guns, you're going to be like, oh my God, this trigger is incredible. The truth usually lies somewhere between the two. Again, I'll put the trigger pull up there, but for trigger, I think it's a solid trigger. We're going to give it a 12 out of a possible 15 for trigger. All right, next up, accuracy. I found the gun to be very accurate. I think the combination of that comp and a good trigger keeps this gun flat. It makes the shootability of the gun easy. I think the ergonomics of the gun, and we'll talk about that more, but I'm speaking more into the way the grip texture and everything allows you. There's a little bit, so inside baseball, some people like metal grips, some people like polymer grips. The people who like polymer grips tend to like the fact that the polymer grip flexes a little bit and allows you to put more grip pressure on the gun to keep the gun shooting flat. Again, I think the combination of the texture, the polymer, the trigger, and the comp all work together to make the gun really solid in terms of accuracy. For accuracy, we're going to give it an 8 out of a possible 10. All right, fam. Next up, ergonomics. Look, I'm spoiled. I'm a 2011 guy. I like the 2011 grip angle better than the Glock grip angle. For if you love and swear by the Glock grip angle, then all good. Just for me, I don't find it as enjoyable. That said, I think the stippling and the texture on this frame was done immaculately. Chef's kiss to Agency Arms for that. I think that ledge up front that allows you to get a purchase on the gun, and again to keep that gun down and shooting flat is well done, as well as the undercut and all the texture along the trigger guard. Again, I just think very well done. Is it 2011 top end, high end 2011 type ergonomics? No, but I think it's very well done. So for ergonomics, we're going to give it a 7 out of a possible 10. All right, these next two categories, I'm going to kind of lump them together. Aftermarket support, maintenance, and upkeep. So, for all intents and purposes, it's a Glock. I don't know if there's any more aftermarket support for any firearm than there is for a Glock. And I don't know if maintenance and upkeep gets any easier than for a Glock. So in those two categories, we're going to give it 5 out of 5 in each. All right, next up, affordability. Okay, look. This is normally the part where I drop my head down in shame and apologize, because a lot of the guns that I review, pistols, are high-end 2011 pistols that are $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000, right? Okay, but I follow that up with like, but look at what you are getting for that price point. Well, this is where this is probably my primary criticism of this gun. I'll go ahead and I'll put the MSRP up there. Now, when you compare that price point to, say, the Terran tactical guns of the world, it's definitely comparable, right? And in terms of the fit and finish quality, I'd say it's very comparable to a Terran gun. So if Terran prices his gun, I see why Agency Arms, especially now that they built their name, I see why they would price it there. I just have a hard time justifying that price point for essentially a very nicely done Glock. Now, if you're a Glock guy and you're never going to pay you're not in the 2011s, then this is probably like your grill gun. This is probably like your grill gun. And yeah, go for it. Go for it. I just look at other style, like 2011 style pistols that are close to this range. I mean, for example, the Masterpiece Arms DS9 Hybrid TC is about the same price as this. And that gun is 5 times the shooter that this is. But again, I think this gun is for somebody very specific. So for me, I feel like the price point is high for a Glock clone gun, but I think that's a 2A NLA issue, may not be everybody's issue. Here is my biggest complaint, is that at this price point, you shouldn't have to do anything to the gun. And for the most part, yeah, it's got it, right? It's got the phenomenal stippling job, all the contouring that we talked about. It's got a beautiful slide, aesthetically beautiful, highly functional. It's comped, island barrel. It is optic ready. Stop right there. This is my biggest complaint about this firearm. And that is that while it is optic ready, it requires an optic plate. And this is kind of a proprietary optic system offered by Agency Arms. So you have to purchase, on top of this price, you have to spend another $160 on the optic plate for the firearm. Look, at this price point, just give me the plate. The plate should be in the box, Agency Arms. You guys are tripping on that one, in my opinion. But again, shout out to 2A Zone for providing this. I happen to know that 2A Zone is also offering the optic plates with the firearm. So that's some value to be gained there for that. Again, you know, buy it, don't buy it. I don't sell guns. All I'm here to do is to give you a review. The gun is expensive. It's very, very expensive for what it is. It may not be incredibly expensive based on all the guns that you see here on my channel, but for what it is expensive. So for affordability, we're giving it a 3 out of a possible 5. Last but not least, flex. Look, there's no doubt that the gun is flexy. Like I said, island barrel, gold accents, incredible stipple job, incredible trigger, Agency Arms name standing behind the gun. It's a flex. It's a flex. How much of a flex is the question? I think the gun is aesthetically beautiful. Once you add, you know, you've got your rail there. Once you add light, once you add an optic to it, I think it's going to take it to even another level. For flex, we're going to give it a 3 out of a possible 5. Now fam, if you add all of that up, you get an 81 out of a possible 100. I told you fam, a straight Glock 19, straight Glock 17, those guns are 50 to 60 guns on the scale. So the fact that Agency Arms was able to take essentially a 50 to 60 gun and improve it, you know, with the stippling to the frame, upgraded trigger, extended mag release, incredible slide work, custom coloring, island barrel and comp. Yeah. Kudos to Agency Arms for that. To get this gun, to get essentially a Glock up to an 81, like I said, I don't know if anybody out there is doing a better job than Agency Arms is at the Glock platform. And so if you're a Glock guy and you kind of are looking for the ultimate Glock and you're not worried about price point, here's another nod I will give to Agency Arms. Now you could buy a stock, you know, Glock 17, a stock Glock 19. You could send it out for stippling and have something that's very similar to what you see here. You can upgrade the trigger, and you could put on a new slide, and you could put a Radian ramjet on it, and it would look very similar to this, and probably for far less, maybe 2,000 to 2,500 or so. But in my experience, when you make those upgrades yourself, the gun does not retain its value. People do not want to pay the additional cost that you put into this gun. I think Agency Arms guns, because they're named and because they're stock, they retain their value far better than it would if you just took a stock gun to upgrade. So if you kind of want to have an out-of-the-box ultimate Glock clone gun, this is probably likely the gun to choose. So look, fam, you tell me down in the comments, is the mid threes too high to pay for the ultimate Glock? You let me know. You be the judge of that. For me, it's hard to justify it because of the other guns that are available to me at that price point. But again, I am more of a 2011 guy. A lot of people don't want to deal with grip safeties. A lot of people don't want to deal with thumb safety. A lot of people don't want a metal grip. They prefer the Glock grip angle. So for them, this isn't a choice between a 2011 and this. This is about, for them, it's about getting the ultimate this. And I would say this is very close, arguably the ultimate Glock clone on the market. All right, fam, that's it for this episode. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.